All right. So what I wanted to talk about today with everybody is I want to start with, where'd it go? Come on. Not that one. This one. Okay. So I want to start with this, and this is Butch sent this to me this morning. This is a chat. I didn't have a chance to block out Nigel's name, so let's just pretend we didn't see it. But Butch uses our social prospecting framework, and I'll talk a bit about it again. But what he does is our process, we do buy a list, but we don't put anybody into cold outreach. We put them into fist bump. And what we do is go through our prospecting sequence, which is we comment 3 times, and then we send a connection request. The connection request is, in fact, let me show that screen while I'm at it, since I'm talking about it. Oh, so many windows open. That's not the one. Well, it's actually in there. Okay. So this is our framework. This is what we follow with our outreach for Social Selling 2.0. And not just the show and the podcast, but whether we're selling fist bump, our consulting services, or our done for you model. We engage 3 times over a 9 to 10 day period. We engage with whatever activity they're doing. So we know, so people say, oh, my customers never post. Well, if they're active, they're commenting or they're liking other people's posts, we still have the opportunity to leverage this, because the goal is them getting a notification and seeing our pretty face, our smiling face, our name, and our headline. All we're trying to do here is we're trying to stand out from the sea of sameness, meaning our competitors, most salespeople, they shoot out cold outreach, cold emails, cold calls. I got something awesome. Give me 5 minutes, give me 15 minutes. Here's my calendar link to tell you about it. How do we stand out? We comment, we comment, we comment. We send the connection request message that is asking or reminding them. Bob will use the example. Hey, Bob, I don't know about you, but I keep seeing you in my newsfeed. Bringing it top of mind. We seem to be commenting and engaging with the same post. Or, I love your post. I keep commenting on them. Something along those lines. And I realized, looking at your profile, that we're not connected. I mean, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're not connected, right? Like, we want to set that tone. And then we send the connection request. We'll engage one more time. And then generally we'll send the message to ask for the next step. Ask for a call, ask if they're interested in doing a quick Zoom to get to know each other. It's not salesy at all. It's not meant to be salesy. We know sometimes we can't control the way that they receive it, but that is the strategy behind it. Now, when we do this is what I wanted to show you guys today. Is Butch, who's on our team, shared this with me this morning. And he's been working a list for our Done For You program. And this was somebody that was on his prospect list. And, you see the tail end up here of his message about connecting. But Nigel says, happy to connect. Butch says, thanks. You notice there, thanks. Nothing else, no salesy. We're standing out. We're being different than everybody else. And then he commented again, and then Nigel reached out to him. Just wanted to reach out, Butch, say how much I appreciate it. It means a lot. Thank you. Now, here's a question. Do you think Nigel is more or less willing to get on a call now with Butch because of Butch's social activity? And yes, I know it's a rhetorical question, but I allowed all of you to talk if you guys want to jump in. This is the goal. This is a successful use of using social to network. Yes, it's part of the overall picture of social selling, but we've got to break up social selling into these two categories. How do we build and establish a healthy connection? And then once we have the healthy connection, what is it? How do we bridge that and move into a nurturing or the selling stage? But it's really more of a nurturing stage. And that's the goal for me of social. It's networking like we've always done. It's just doing it by leveraging our LinkedIn activity. Getting outside of LinkedIn is just a resume. Getting outside of LinkedIn is just a place where I can go identify the people that I want to talk to and then send them a message and use it like another cheap message outreach. And quite directly, it is harder. Takes a little bit more time. But if we want to stand out and be different than our competitors, this is what we need to do. I'm going to pause there, and then I got two things on commenting and intel I want to talk about, and then we'll Q&A a little bit, and we'll be wrapped up and out of here within 30 minutes. Any comments or questions on that, you guys?
I would say,
go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, Brandon, I would say that, I probably get 5 to 10 inbound, and we've all heard this term, pitch slaps a day from folks looking to sell me their SDR, BDR services. So I would kind of tongue in cheek here, but I would say the bar is pretty low.
The bar is low.
The bar is pretty low, and it doesn't take much to stand out. Unfortunately, sometimes trying to stand out, we get buried with the other garbage that's out there. But I'm using the same method, and light years ahead. So and when I get something like this, I've had SDRs or BDRs reach out to me for different things who have followed this method, and happily give them my time.
There you go. There you go. Thanks for that, Aaron.
Yeah, my sense of this is that you really need to have this scheduled, like planned. If you're not using some sort of a outreach tool like Outreach or SalesLoft or something like that to keep it on track, you got to find some other way to really track the messaging that you're doing.
You mean fist bump, right?
Yeah, fist bump too. That'll work too. So yeah, you have to be deliberate about this. You can't just necessarily be opportunistic if you want that to work.
Yeah, and that's, I say that kind of joking, but obviously very serious. The reason that we built Fist Bump is there were holes in Outreach and SalesLoft when it came to the actual LinkedIn activity and documenting and validating that activity towards opportunities. I used SalesLoft for a while. It was great for cold email blast and emailing and documenting emails. It was good for telling me when I needed to make phone calls to people. And if we turned on the recording piece, it would record and transcribe and put all that in there, which was great. But then we would set tasks that would say, engage on LinkedIn. That was it. We could click a link and go to LinkedIn, find the person, engage if we wanted to, but then we go back into SalesLoft and check the box and go, I completed the task. That's why I like what we do with Fist Bump too, is we're social first. And again, it's like, you guys use Fist Bump, you don't use Fist Bump, whatever, that's fine. But the reason why I created Fist Bump is because I realized it with customers in my own work, social first was faster. It felt slower because we weren't just blasting out a bunch of emails, get another 100 people and put them in and press the button and engage them in some sequence and then start cold calling. It was just faster. It accelerated that process for us. So not to scold you about not using Fist Bump, Bob, but that's really why I built it. I couldn't find a tool to do for me what I needed to do.
Yeah, I'm just not using it yet. It's like the SEALs say, right? Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. So
that's right. There you go. So this brings up two things that we need to think about. And really, I'm going to say three things because I'm going to break content into two categories. But number one is our intel. And I'm going to, oops, that's not what I meant to do. Let me go back and share that. Bring this over. There we go. So content is two things. One is our commenting, and then the second one is what we publish. I'm going to pause on that for 1 second because I want to bring up intel, research. What we've created now with our team at Social Selling 2.0 is, and I just made it because it was more of a, hey, everybody should be doing this, and people were, but now we've made part of our weekly meetings is everybody has to research. They have to read, they have to listen to a podcast, they have to do something for 30 minutes every day. It's part of their work time, carving out 30 minutes because we need to know what's going on with our customers better than any of our competition. And again, Aaron, I'll come back to you. It's a low bar. It doesn't take much work, but just doing the reading and knowing what they're dealing with so that our content, whether it's the content we publish or it's the comments that we make, we need to be leading them. If we want them to see us as a trusted advisor, we have to share trusted advice. So I'll give you an example. I was just on a call with a client. We're going through their content strategy, and they're in the security space. And she said, we know what their problems are because, this ops manager or this site manager or this, I don't care if they're in healthcare or they're in this or that, they're all dealing with the same thing. And this is what's going on. And I said, wow, that's awesome. Is your content talking about this stuff? And she's like, no, because they're using cold outreach to try and get meetings. And then they get into the meetings and they say, well, what are your problems? What are you dealing with? How can we help you? And all of that, I'm sorry, it's just even 5-6 years ago, that was flailing. Buyers don't have time for that now. So we have to lead with our content so that we demonstrate that we know what's going on. We can tell them what's going on in the industry. Now, what does this look like when it comes to content? Number one, thought leadership content is so important. Whether you write it, you use it in graphics, you use it in videos, you use mixtures of it. If you're not consistently creating and sharing the content, you're missing out on a huge opportunity to amplify what's in your noggin and be able to share it with your entire industry and stand out from your competition. Because if companies are sharing content, most of it right now is marketing driven. And you guys have probably heard me say this a ton of times. And I is a marketer too. I piss off marketers is my point. Marketers talk with a bullhorn. They're used to telling everybody, this is who we are. This is how great we are. Buyers don't give a crap. But when salespeople, we're better at having a conversation. We're better at listening. So a lot of our content now, we have to, totally oxymoronic, I get it, but our content needs to come from a place of listening. We need to know what's going on with them, our intel, our research, our reading, we're listening, and then we feed back to them, hey, this is what's going on. This is what's happening in your industry. This is what some of the other companies have been doing. These are the, and even if they know it because they're living it, when we're sharing it, what they're doing is they're going, you get me. And then when we're commenting and we're doing the same thing, you get me, we're totally standing out from the sea of sameness. We're providing real value and we're laying that foundation to be the resource when they need us. And they may not need us right now. Right? The data slightly different in different industries, but overall, 1 to 5% of people in your market or in your industry are currently in market. That's it. So if our outreach is all cold, get a meeting, get a meeting, get a meeting, get a meeting, we're really only talking to 1 to 5% of the market. And we're trying to find leads. What we're talking about with social is more lead creation. And I know some people say, oh, we just don't have time for it. Well, how's the cold outreach working? If we're thinking about our 30-day cycles, and I know this is very controversial, but we have got to let buyers do their own journey. And our focus is, I love this, Anthony Iannarino said this on our show a couple weeks ago. He said, if we focus on being effective, then we don't have to focus on 30-day, 60-day, 90-day cycles. And we now align ourselves with the buyer's journey, and we let the buyer do what they need to do. And if they need 90 days, it's better to give them 90 days and close the deal than to try and close the deal in your fabricated 30-day window and lose the deal and lose the customer potentially forever because your actions were more of a turn off than them seeing you as a trusted advisor. Last thing, we'll go Q&A or ask me, whatever, we'll have a discussion. Knowing your commenting style is not meant to put you in a box. It's designed to give us our tendencies, help us understand what do we tend towards, and then how do we use that to stand out? How do we use that to be consistent, which is really important. It's kind of like your DISC profile or your Myers-Briggs or your Enneagram or any of those. It's designed to inform us and help us understand where our strengths are or where our weaknesses might be. And so going and doing your commenting style assessment, and I can share the link, but getting that helps us start to understand, where am I at today? And based on all the intel I'm gathering and the research I'm doing, how can I use that to strengthen what I'm doing? And here's what happens. The outcome is, the more we read, the more we do research, like, oh, all of a sudden we have more stuff in our noggin that we can share. And when we're seeing posts, more stuff just starts coming to surface, comes up to top of mind, and we start commenting better. We have more confidence in it. We have more value in it for our customers. It has a better effect. And this whole social thing just becomes really stinking fun because we're having conversations with our prospects that are creating opportunities, and more opportunities leads to more revenue, and we all win. So there's a nice little pretty bow on it. I know it's not that easy, but that is the goal, and that's the vision of where we're going with this. So what do y'all think?
Question for you about the posting and thought leadership.
Yes.
Are you referring specifically to doing thought leadership in comments? Or are you speaking of doing thought leadership in posting individually, like outside of the comments?
Yeah. So the real answer is both.
Yeah.
So what's the frequency on the not commenting inside? So I'm not replying to comments. What is the actual frequency that's suggested? Because there are some people that are cranking out 2 or 3 things a day.
Right.
And it's almost an overload as compared to like once a week, 2 times a week, once every other week. What's the advised number?
Yeah. So that's a great question. And it comes down to your goal and your personality. Like Carson produces, you guys all know Carson, my co-host on the show. Carson kicks out like 2, 3, 4 posts sometimes a day. And he's just cranking it out. I produce 1 piece of content a day. You don't need to produce even 1 piece of content a day. For most people, and I'm in this boat, I don't need to be an influencer. I have no desire to be an influencer. I desire to have about 200 to 300 people that I produce such great value and insights to them that I'm able to grow and build my company, serve them well, make the money I want to make to provide for my family, and take care of my team, employees, and help them as well. I don't need to be an influencer. And most of you guys don't need to be an influencer too. In fact, the vast majority of us, we don't need to be. So once a week, if you can do a very thoughtful, valuable post or piece of content of some sort that adds that much value to your targeted audience, I think it's plenty. And we leverage the heck out of it. meaning we can talk about this another time. We keep, like, I love putting my posts. Sometimes I'll post things on LinkedIn. I don't even care how people engage with it today, because I use it in my nurturing campaigns down the road. When I message, once I built healthy connections with people, I'll use it in a direct message with a link and say, hey, Aaron, great talking with you the other day. We had this great coffee. Hey, I wrote this post the other day about XYZ. Thought it might help you in what you're doing. And I share a link to a social post. The reason I do that is because as soon as I share a link, any of us, we share a link to our website, it stinks of sales. And buyers, nobody wants to be sold. So that's where I use it. But Bob, your question, I will encourage you to start with one quality strategic post per week. And then as you get more comfortable with it, you want to add a second, add a second. You want to get to a third, you get comfortable, add a third. When I started with one. That was a challenge because I was like, oh shit, what do I write? I don't know, what am I going to do? But once I started getting more comfortable, one a day is a good rhythm for me. And here's the other thing. If I skip a day, I don't beat myself up.
Got it. Thank you.
You got it. Jonathan, what's happening?
Yeah, you said something of interest, and I'm wondering if it's worth exploring further. You mentioned the idea of one strategic post per day. And I'm wondering if strategic is something that needs to be broken down one level further, because what you might constitute as strategic may be different than what I constitute as strategic. For myself, I tend to be a little bit more of an organized chaos when it comes to posts, but I know exactly what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, but it may look to the outside world like I'm just crazy and rambling.
Yeah.
But
That's strategic for you. It doesn't have to make sense for me. And I think especially Jonathan, I'm your friend, but I'm not your ideal customer.
right, fair, totally valid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No
That's
further questions,
strategic.
Counselor.
And then for me, it's always about strategies and systems. So if that's your strategy, what's the system to do it? And Bob, I would go back to start, which means if you're more comfortable writing, write. If you're more comfortable creating graphics, create graphics. You're more comfortable doing video, create video. You're more comfortable doing long form, do long form. Write an article. Get your LinkedIn newsletter set up. Write an article once a week. Whatever's most personal to you and is going to empower you to be consistent, start there.
Got it.
And what we've done, I'm going to use this to not pitch, but share with you guys. I just noticed that content creation is so difficult for people, that what we have created, and we've got a couple customers started already doing this. Aaron, this might be something of interest for you in your company. We have a done for you program now. It's a premium program. It's not like LinkedIn lead gen, not all the stuff that you're getting spammed in your inbox. What we actually do is we bring people into a studio, and it's about a 2-hour window every 2 months, not a whole lot of time, but we're very strategic on the front end about the content that we're going to do. That is that strategic value adding content. We want to tell our customers that we know what they're going through. We want to be forward thinking. So we're getting them think about what's coming and what they should be preparing for. That's how we establish ourselves as trusted advisors. We bring them into the studio. They bring 7 changes of clothes, and we record. And very strategic, again, questions. We have a conversation on camera. We have multiple cameras. We produce it. So it's very, professional, which probably 3-4 years ago, I would have said, hey, you got this as a camera, just start recording. I think we're at a spot now where more and more people are doing that, and it's fine. Zoom is fine. But if we want to stand out of the sea of sameness, we got to up our game a little bit. So what we then do is we publish 1 thought leadership video per week for them. That goes on for 2 months. We bring them back in the studio and we do it again. And then for those that want, we also are doing the commenting strategy for them. We actually have our team log in, and we comment as them. We comment on their behalf. We follow the blueprint and we set up meetings for them. I love it because you get the outcomes without having to do the work yourselves. And for some people, they'd rather just pay for it than learn how to do it themselves. So there's my kind of pitch for the day of what we're doing at the Social Selling 2.0 model. Didn't mean to kill the conversation there, but any other questions? Captain Kirk, thanks for joining us.
No questions, Counselor.
Thanks, Jonathan. By the way, Jonathan, I love your post, man. Keep, if there's a strategy behind it, keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. It's really just a matter of lightening the mood. Place is so serious all the time and I can't stand it.
It works. Look, I was at the LinkedIn local Atlanta event last night, and Izzy Bedoya, I don't know if you guys know her, she's freaking brilliant. Marketingpros.ai. She's just doing amazing content for teaching. Like, I learned a lot of my AI stuff from her for free. But she was one of the speakers last night, and it all came down to the same thing. Be yourself. Being authentic. And I know that, you know, it was easier to be authentic on like Facebook before. It was even easier to be kind of authentic because on Twitter, because you could create whatever handle you wanted and nobody knew it. But LinkedIn's kind of scary because, like, this is my career. This is who I am. This is my professional life. This is where I make money. But the trend since COVID, especially, and I've got a show that goes back during COVID where we were talking about this movement to more human content inside of LinkedIn. And the conversation last night was authenticity wins. And the sooner you can start to just get really super comfortable with who you are and what you want to project from a person. I'm not saying go full open Komodo and just like lay it all out. That's not everybody's personality. One of the guys last night was like, I struggle with anxiety and depression, and I talk about it on LinkedIn, and so many people that resonate with me engage with me, and I've gotten new customers from it because we connected on a human level. It doesn't have to be that deep of a topic, but whatever that is, bring your whole person to the table. If you love, you know, the work you do as a dad with your kids, you love the work you do as a volunteer, you're a chef, whatever, that stuff, when as long as we're relating it to work, is some of the best content that we can produce, because it not only shares what we know in the industry, but it shares about who we are. And the bottom line, I mean, gut check this or heart check this for yourselves. We like doing business with people who we like. And that's a way that we get to know them. And LinkedIn allows us a platform to amplify that really, really wide, fast. We just have to be consistent.
I'm virtually clapping for you right now.
Thank you.
Like, are you going to pass an offering plate? Because I'll put in $1 or $2.
I appreciate that. Well, guys, I hope this has been valuable for you. Any feedback you have, any other topics? I love doing these 30 minutes on Thursdays. I got a little out of control there with, we're going an hour, and I can't do that. Our client list and my demands are creeping up, and I like to spend time with my wife and kids. So we're going to stick them to 30 minutes, but any other topics or things, I want to get into the selling side, the nurturing side for the next few weeks. But this focus on how do we create healthy connections with LinkedIn, it's crucial. We stand out from our competition. It's a lot more fun, and it actually works really, really well. And Captain Kirk, you missed it, but I started with a screenshot that Butch on our team got this morning from somebody that, you know, thanked him for commenting on his post and opened up the door for a Zoom conversation, because Butch's activity, commenting, engaging, made him stand out. And the person felt compelled to send him a message and say, hey, thank you. That's a healthy connection. Business comes from not just what we know, but who we know. And that's what we're accomplishing.
Hey, Branson, I did have a quick question for you. regarding posting on LinkedIn. Cross posting between that, my website, and Medium.
Mhm.
I'm trying to expand the audience to not just LinkedIn, but all over the place. So the question is, I don't know about LinkedIn's algorithms necessarily and what it promotes, what you get dinged for. They keep it secret for a reason, I guess. But how would you suggest handling all of that?
You mean from duplicate content of repurposing a post from Medium into a newsletter in LinkedIn?
Yeah, well, wherever it would start, I would probably put it first of all on my website, and leave that as the home.
Yep.
Unless it just makes sense to just duplicate it over in LinkedIn or what have you.
Yeah, I mean, I think as simple as adding, I did this with some duplicate content hubs that we built. There's one way that you can do with Google that you can take the link and share it as this is the canonical, this is the original article. And in a sense, you're telling Google, hey, I know I'm duplicating my content. I'm not trying to game the system. This is the original, but I'm going to repurpose it in these places. But the simplest thing, Bob, is just to say, I originally wrote this article on my website and add the link, and then you can put in the content. If you want to edit it a little bit to make it somewhat different, you can. But I think now that the Google bots and everything have gotten so smart that they know when we're trying to game a system and when we're just duplicating content to put it on a separate platform.
Got it. Thanks.
And I think, LinkedIn, Medium's great, but LinkedIn, I mean, obviously it's got a ton of SEO juice because it's LinkedIn. I find a lot of my articles will show up on searches from LinkedIn faster than they will from our website.
A little bit off topic, Brandon, but now that I've been engaged with Fist Bump for about 6 weeks now, I want to do a best practice gut check with you, because I'm getting bogged down, and maybe I have too many people that I'm tracking. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, maybe we could do that offline. But I just wanted to prime the pump here.
Yeah, no, I can address that now. I have I did that to myself as well. Bruce, I started logging into LinkedIn and I would have 110, 115 tasks. And I even caught myself, and I'm the guy always saying comment. It's the best thing you can do. Comment before publishing, comment. And I caught myself some days going, oh my gosh, and then kicking it, punting it to the next day. And so I decided to, eat my own filet mignon here. And I reduced my size of my prospects, and I'm focusing on about 25 people at a time and doing it really, really well, and believing that going slow is going to help me move faster.
Okay.
That's what I've done. And now I think I've got it up to about 40 people at any given time. And it's manageable because I'm sitting at about 10 to 18 tasks per day.
Yeah.
So I time block on my calendar. And because prospecting is so important to our revenue, and revenue is so important to my marriage, I am dedicated to those prospecting time blocks, and say, do not mess with my time when I'm here. I don't answer my phone. I don't respond to email. I don't get caught up in, I got notified about it. That is my prospecting time. And I limit it to make sure that I'm, 10 to 20 tasks per day. Very manageable.
Yeah. No, I like that. Thank you.
You got it. All righty, guys. I appreciate you. Send me any other topics that you'd want, and please invite friends or share this. I do it free. So if you guys, there's no plate to pass, Jonathan, but if you guys would promote it and share and bring more people, I would be very, very grateful. Or promote the show, whatever, but anything in those lines, I would be very grateful for.
Can do, brother. Can do.
Great. Thanks, Jonathan.
Thanks,
Not Jonathan. Well, yeah, Jonathan, but you too, Brandon.
All
All
good.
good. All good.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers all.
Bye.